Okay, so I don't think you should name any of your kids Theophilus, okay? It's a tongue twister, but it's actually a great word. It means lover of God, so you could have a lot worse title than lover of God. We're joining most of the Catholic churches that I know of around the country today in celebrating Pro-Life Sunday. Friday, as you know, was the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. It's been 43 years since that Supreme Court decision legalized abortion in our land. And it's been 59 million abortions later in our country, the population of many, many nations. And so maybe it's time that we took stock as a nation and as people of faith on that vital life issue. First of all, I think it's important to say that our faith in God doesn't mean that we're out of touch with reality. We do not look at our world with rose-colored glasses. We see reality as it truly is. And that's important because if we are called to Christify reality, to bring Christ into the reality of the time and place where we're living, then it's very important that we're very clear about the reality that we are to bring the person and the values of Jesus Christ to. One of the best interpreters, I think, for our modern times, one of the best cultural analysts, if you will, I think we've really had is Pope St. John Paul II. He's a wonderful gift of sort of taking a step back and just looking at the world and bringing faith, the light of faith, to what he saw. Here's what he said on this. He wrote a very famous encyclical called Evangelium Vitae, the good news of life, the good news of human life. And most of these observations are taken from that encyclical. He said there that we are engaged with an evil that exploits human rights against God and the family. So human right would be, I want to be free. So I want to be free to have an abortion. So that's taking a human right and exploiting it against God and against the family. He said, even as in our culture today, he says, is it the fruit of an ideology of evil? In other words, is our cultures is so imbued with evil that we're reaping the fruits of it? When we look at so many aspects of the culture, as I say, we're realists. We can look at the real world we're living in and trying to raise our families in that culture. I think he's right. He says the clear creed of the church is often branded as fundamentalism. So I believe in one God, the Father Almighty. That's not fundamentalist. It's the truth. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints. Those aren't fundamentalism. Those are the bedrock truths of our faith. Of course, the family, the Pope says, is at the heart of this battle between good and evil, life and death, that's being waged today. In some ways, the battleground where this fight is going on is the family. That's really the heart of the battle. And fatherhood, I think, is key to this fight. Everybody in the family circle is vital. But I think fatherhood, holy, strong, Christian fatherhood, is key to this fight. In many quarters, as you know, manhood today is seen as outmoded. Watch primetime television. Kind of a laughable concept, manhood. The strategy is clear. Ridicule fatherhood, ridicule manhood, take them out of the consideration, and the family will fall. And it will. If we become a fatherless culture, the family will fall desperately. So it's a sobering picture, this world of ours. And abortion is only the worst of many elements of what Pope John Paul II called the culture of death. It is not dramatic, it's true. The culture of life and the culture of death are locked in a very real battle in our culture and in our world today. It's important, though, to say that there's more to the picture than this. All of it is not bad. And it's where there is good news, I think it's important to trumpet it. Just the fact that we are still up to our elbows in this struggle 43 years later, after Roe v. Wade, is an incredible sign of hope. Nobody thought that. The politicians, the judges, everybody thought, well, that takes care of that issue. 43 years later, it didn't take care of anything. And I'm so proud of our people and our church and our faith and others who join us with this struggle. It has not gone away. The struggle over abortion, much to the consternation of proponents of abortion, refuses to go away. And the life and death struggle continues. Some good news. Abortions are at a record low. Now we still have almost 1 million abortions per year in our country, but at one point it was almost double that per year. Abortions are at a record low. 53 abortion facilities closed last year. 53. Americans test out more and more as increasingly pro-life on every survey that's put out. Those undercover videos last summer of Planned Parenthood selling aborted fetus baby parts launched a huge outcry, as you remember, and a number of state and congressional investigations ignited debate over taxpayers having to fund Planned Parenthood. At least 16 state legislatures that I know of passed 50 abortion-related laws last year that included mandatory waiting periods, partial birth abortion bans, and prohibition against abortion after 20 weeks in some states, the time when the little baby is said to be able to feel pain. A growing number of men in our country take part in the Silent No More movement, where they publicly proclaim their regret over their lost fatherhood. We're living in a time and place where increasingly people want to hear the truth about human life. And the pro-life movement is there to help them discover it. We support First Way Pregnancy Center in Johnsburg. And they have one of the new and very, very sophisticated machines now. I'm blocking. What do they call those machines? Ultrasound machine. They have this, and the new technology evidently is wonderful. And the ladies there say that if a young woman has an ultrasound with their machine, they do not have an abortion because the technology shows so clearly this living baby inside of their womb. What can we do? First of all, most important of all, I would say pray. Pray changes hearts. We did this a few years ago, and it was wonderful, and I would encourage you to do it now. Have your family adopt an imaginary pregnant woman who's considering an abortion. Give her a name if you wish. Certainly we know they're out there, so the reality is not imaginary at all. Adopt an imaginary pregnant woman and her baby and pray for her every day for the next 9 months. And then, when you're done with that, adopt another woman. And keep that prayer going. We believe that prayer changes hearts. And keep praying for that pregnant woman who's considering an abortion to protect her baby. Secondly, reach out in love and mercy to those who have had abortions. God always gives us another chance. There is no such thing as an unforgivable sin. And interestingly enough, the Catholic Church is very, very clear about the evil of abortion, but we're also very, very clear about a process where women and men who've gone through abortion can have healing and can start a new life. It's not like when you do that, your foot is nailed to the ground and there's a black cloud over your head and you can never move on. No, there is confession and healing and new life. Our God is a God of forgiveness. Help anybody you know to reconcile with God and with the church after their abortion. I'm there, Father Jerome, Father Simon, all of us want to be there for those people to help them to a new life. It's possible. It's available for them. Forgiveness and new life are always possible. Also, our witness matters. Our witness of our words and our deeds matters. It touches hearts. Don't ever underestimate the witness of a conversation in the grocery store, or a pro-life sign in your front yard, or just your kindness towards somebody in need. Our witness matters. It touches hearts. Love the story of, you might have heard the Baltimore Ravens football star, Matt Burke, was on their team in 2013, I think it was, when they won the Super Bowl. So they were invited to the White House to celebrate. And he said, I'm not going to go, and it's over the issue of abortion. He said, I have great respect for the office of the presidency, but 6 weeks ago, our president in a speech said, God bless Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood performs about 330,000 abortions a year. Matt Burke said, I am a Catholic, I'm active in the pro-life movement, and I just felt I could not endorse that in any way. And his witness touched so many hearts. You never know the hearts that you're going to touch with your words and your actions. Maybe a final thought. Our first reading was from the book of Nehemiah. So just a quick backstory. So the Jews were carried off into exile for 50 plus years. They came back to Jerusalem about 535 AD. Everything was leveled. It was a wreck. They wept when they came back to their country. First thing they did was rebuild the walls, because if you didn't have walls around the city, anybody could walk in and kill you. It took them 52 days. People thought, God's got to be with them. How did they rebuild those walls in 52 days? Then they rebuilt their temple. What were they saying? We want to recapture our identity. We want to know who we are. The reason they were crying when Nehemiah was reading from the scriptures is they'd forgotten who they are. So when they heard those words, they, oh, that's who we are. And they were crying with sadness, but also with joy. I think that's what we have to be about. We need solid walls, a strong identity, to know who we are. Not to block the world out, but to help us know who we are. We need strong temple walls to know who we are as people of faith. And then knowing that we are called to go out and Christify our world.